And for the record, say spell your first and last name, please.
Marco, M-A-R-C-O, Lorenti, L-O-R-E-N-T-I.
Thank you. Sir, did you fly in from Toronto, Canada to testify?
Yes, I did.
And do you know somebody by the name of Morella Sementilli?
Yes, I do.
And is she your significant other?
Yes, she is.
Okay. And have the two of you been together since somewhere around 2008?
Yes.
All right. Through your relationship with Morella, did you meet her brother Fabio?
Yes, I did.
Exhibit 73. You recognize Fabio in this photograph and his kids?
I do.
And what was your relationship like with Fabio?
We had a very good relationship. Even after he moved, we spoke often.
Okay. Did you guys have a close relationship?
We did.
Almost like brothers?
Correct.
Did you and Fabio often discuss personal matters, family matters, things of that nature?
We did. We spoke of our children. We spoke of work, business, things of that nature.
Okay. You're Italian, he's Italian.
Correct.
Did you have a nickname that you used for Fabio?
Big Daddy?
Okay. Did you also refer to him as Fab?
I did.
When you first met Fabio, was he partners with Morella?
When I started seeing Morella, he was partners with Morella, and he was already doing some sort of part-time work for Wella.
As a educator, platform artist?
Yes.
And when you said that he was partners with Morella, what was their business venture?
They had a hair salon called Salon Shampoo, which they had for a few years. I think they opened it in 2001, if I'm correct.
And that was in the suburbs of Toronto?
It was in the outskirts of Toronto called Woodbridge.
Okay. And did you also have a close relationship with Fabio's 3 children that we see here in Exhibit 73?
Well, close in the sense that we were very good with each other. My kids had a pretty close relationship with his kids.
Okay. And Luigi lived in the area where you lived too, correct? In Toronto?
He lived in the outskirts of Toronto in an area called Stouffville.
Stouffville. Can you spell it, please?
Oh. Stouffville.
Thank you. And in terms of what was important to Fabio, he was...
The day that we arrived, the 25th of January.
And were you there that day?
I wasn't there with them, but Morella spoke to me of it.
Okay. On Sunday, January 29th, did you attend a viewing at a funeral home in the San Fernando Valley?
Correct, we did.
Followed by a wake at the Sementilli home that night?
That evening, yeah.
Okay. And did the defendant indicate what she was going to do that night prior to individuals coming to the house for this memorial?
Well, we knew that what I was going to do.
What you saw?
What I saw? Yeah.
Yes.
So I saw many people, some I didn't know. There were about 70 to 100 people attending. Wella put on the do, rented the chairs, the tables, got the food. They were very endearing towards her.
And what was the defendant saying she was going to do during this wake?
At one point, she seemed exhausted, and she got up and she said, I think I'm going to go to bed. I can't handle all these people right now. And I don't remember if it was her mother, Morella. Somebody gave her a sleeping pill. and she said she was going to her room and going to bed, and then we didn't see her anymore.
At some point, did you see her later that evening?
Yeah, then she propped up again, and she kind of cleaned up, dolled up a little bit, and she was back around.
Okay. Did you see her on the patio that night?
I did. I saw her back on the patio.
Okay. And did you see her with someone?
She had various guests there that I didn't know, sitting with her near the fire pit where Fab used to sit.
Okay. And it's the living room area where other guests were also sitting?
No,
So it was just the defendant with another individual?
with another gentleman, yes.
Okay. Did you know who that individual was?
I did not at the time.
Okay. Were the lights on or off in the living room area, as you recall?
They were on, but they weren't that dark.
I'm sorry?
It wasn't that lit up.
I see. Besides texting and emailing, did you also speak to her on the phone on a regular basis regarding the subject of Fabio's life insurance money?
I don't know how regularly, but enough.
So you did speak with her by phone as well?
I did.
On her regular cell phone ending in 4213?
It's the only number that I had.
Okay. Your Honor, I have a text message dated May 29th from this witness to the defendant. May it be marked as Peoples 110? Yes. It has a number 1 in the left bottom corner. Showing you this text message, do you recognize what you see here?
I do.
And is this a message that you sent from your phone on May 29th to the defendant's phone?
Yes, I recognize it. It's my message.
So you said to her that working on a very short and sweet note that you will send out to the authorities and insurance company. That's what you just testified to, correct?
Correct.
Understand that the insurance company have no obligation or liability toward you until they get a release by the authorities, and the authorities are still investigating and must have persons they suspect that must have known one or all 4 of you. If that's the case, they have the right to hold back until you 3 are all clear. Hence, the notice will have limited teeth. Call you later.
Correct.
And at the bottom, it looks like it's timestamped 9/11 in the morning.
Yes. And I said to her that you can modify it as you wish, use it if you want, do whatever you want with it.
Your Honor, I have this witness's letter that was sent to the defendant the following day, May 30th, 2017. May this document be marked as Peoples 111, and it has a number 2 in the bottom left corner.
So marked.
Thank you. Can you see this on your screen?
Hey guys. It seems that they started having tech issues with the stream starting right about here, and the video cuts out completely after a couple of minutes. When the video comes back, court is just coming back from a break, and the judge says, continue with cross-examination, so sadly, this is all we're getting for direct. The following is the email that Marco wrote for Monica to pass on to investigators, split between 2 slides. The video will continue as normal afterwards.
Before we go back to where we left off, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things with you about your conversations with Monica after Fabio was killed. Some of your conversations with her, she discussed the status of the police investigation, correct?
Yes.
She discussed with you her check-ins with the police. I think you described it as if they had found anybody.
I don't remember.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to see your reference to it in your grand jury testimony?
Sure.
Okay. And showing you what you said at the time, page number? Page 215. Does that refresh your recollection?
I believe so.
So you did have conversations with Monica about other things other than insurance, correct?
Okay, correct.
And Monica spoke with you about inquiring about the status of the investigation and if they'd found anybody.
Correct.
And you also mentioned earlier about the night of the gathering at the Sementilli home. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And am I correct that on that night, in fact, for all that week, Morella, your partner, had actually been staying in Monica's bedroom at the house. Is that correct?
I sort of recall that.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier that in the early part of the evening, Monica had taken a sleeping pill.
If I remember correctly, yes.
And she'd gone into her room,
Yes.
correct? And then later came back out and joined the gathering. Is that correct?
At one point she did. She was in the living room, and I don't remember which happened first.
Okay. But at some point during the evening, she had taken a sleeping pill.
I think so.
Okay. Mr. Lorenti, we talked earlier about the text messages you had with Monica between the date Fabio was killed and the time Monica was arrested, and that was between January 23rd and June 14th. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you talked about how the first exchanges you had about insurance were around this time where you all were discussing you drafting the letter. Is that correct?
Okay.
Okay. Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you, in those communications you had with Monica, am I correct that you, after you told her you were going to draft this letter, you also told her you were going to talk to your lawyer about things you needed, things for her to send?
To a lawyer. I don't remember which one, but they just spoke to me over the phone.
Okay, but it was about things you were going to need from Monica for her to send.
I just needed to know circumstances, that's it. She sent me that other information, yes.
Okay. And so when you said on, referring to People's Exhibit 112, when you told her in the text message on May 25 at 11:28, thanks, Mo, when I speak to my lawyer, I will let you know what else I might need. What are you referring to?
I think at that point she was just accumulating information and sending it to me. I didn't necessarily ask for that information because we've had other conversations that are not reflected in the emails, where at one point I said to her, I'll draft it for you, you do as you wish with it, you have all the people you can send it to, and I suggested who she should send it to. If she did it or didn't, I don't know.
Okay. And you then, with the information you had, whatever that was, you drafted the letter.
With whatever information we had via text or phone calls, I drafted a letter.
Okay. And showing you that letter, and People's Exhibit 111, this is the letter you drafted, Mr. Lorenti, correct?
Correct.
And you to send it from herself, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And to whoever she might send it to, you are asking her, or you drafted these things for her to send, correct?
I drafted this as a guideline, that's why it's referred to as a draft
Okay. Well, where is it referred to as a draft?
on our phone calls.
Okay. So you put dear blank, whoever she was going to send it to, and this was the content that you drafted.
Correct.
And you sent that to her May 29th, is that correct? Or May
30th.
Yes?
Correct.
May 30th at 3:01 p.m.?
If that's what it says, yes.
Okay. And then on May 30 at 6:24 p.m., 3 hours later, you contacted Monica again, correct?
If that's what the text says, yes.
You contacted her that same afternoon, about 3 hours later, asking if she sent the email.
Correct.
And you then receive a text from Monica asking you if before she sends anything, should I CC his captain too, referring to a police captain. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you respond to her, correct?
I think so.
Okay. But also when she sends that to you, she also talks about having difficulties with her daughter, correct? It's not just about sending your letter.
Sending her letter, no, it's not.
Okay. And she tells you that she's having a hard time with Bella. That she needs to talk to her, Bella, today. She's being distant and rude, and that Monica needs to squash it before it gets any worse. And she tells you, related to Bella, I never know if I'm making the right decisions. I need Fabio's direction and advice. Everything sucks. She tells you that?
In the text, yes.
Okay. But that's not as saying she needs Fabio's direction about insurance. That's about Fabio's direction she needs about handling Bella, correct?
Correct.
And then after she talks to you about Bella, you respond to her earlier question about whether Monica asking you to direct her as to whether she should send the letter to the police. You tell her the following: send to police and insurance. Yes, captain as well. Make sure you reference insurance company with info you send. You sent that to her, correct?
Correct.
You reach out yet again to Monica, yourself, and say to her, hey, did you get any kind of response to the email you sent out? If no, send another email stating, please acknowledge the email I sent to you on date /. You sent that to her, correct?
Yes.
And you were curious to see what the response, if any, was to any letters she sent based on what you drafted, correct?
Yes and no.
Okay. Yes, you were curious to find out.
No, I'm a follow-up guy by nature.
Okay.
So I do that with everything that I do.
Okay.
So it's my pattern. There wasn't a special treatment for her.
Understood. Monica also consulted with you, did she not, about some requests for records that the police had made of her. Is that correct?
Request for records, refresh my memory.
Am I correct that Monica reached out to you and told you that the police had asked her to forward to them some phone records.
Oh, the home and the cell.
Okay. And you asked her on June 7 at 7:33, am I right? You asked her which phone records are they looking for? And you were referring to the request she had relayed that the police wanted her to send some of her phone records, correct?
Correct.
And you asked in your response, cell or home, correct?
Yes.
And she responded, I asked them, probably home phone. And then you responded, correct?
Let me see that, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I asked them, prob home phone, and.
And is there more to that?
It appears to be cut off on the document you gave.
Yeah.
It's cut off, so I don't see that. I think
Yeah.
probably they were asking for cell records. Is your understanding?
Probably.
Okay. And your response to Monica asking you about sending those records, you told her give only home for now.
Right.
And she asked you in response, why only home?
Okay.
Okay. Why did you tell her only to give her home phone records?
Probably so she could see what it is that they're looking for. I don't remember why. Start with that and then give them the other ones after. I don't know.
So when you told her to only give certain records to the police, you're not sure why you did that?
No. It was a casual response.
And then you reached out again I think it's June 11. Let's see. You reach out one final time, June 11 at 8:25 at night, and you say, hope you get some positive news, referencing the letter you drafted, correct?
Just in general, I hope you get some positive news soon.
Okay, but you put in Perez letter. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So I hope you get some positive news, a letter from the investigators, so the three of you can move on. It was a good time in New York. You sent that to me, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this New York trip, this was Vanessa's graduation from medical school?
Correct.
That's wonderful. And Vanessa was Morella's daughter, correct?
Yes.
Your stepdaughter or?
Correct.
Okay. And you mentioned before, the prosecutor put up this picture of Monica smoking a cigar, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned before, for the record, what number is it? It's 113 or 113? 113. Correct?
Correct.
And you mentioned that you all had all gone to a some kind of cigar club, correct?
Cigar lounge in New York.
Okay. And who arranged that? Monica didn't arrange that, correct?
I think Morella arranged it.
Okay. So Morella, your partner, arranged it.
Correct.
And it was at a cigar club where people smoke cigars?
It's also a restaurant and a lounge.
Okay. But when you went, Monica wasn't the only one smoking a cigar, correct?
No. Of course not.
Were you smoking cigars?
Yes.
And am I right, Mr. Lorenti, you were never interviewed between the time Fabio was killed in January of 2017 through the date that Monica was arrested in June of 2017, correct?
No. Yes. Correct.
In fact, you were not interviewed at all by the police until they had contacted you to inform you that Monica had been arrested. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. And in fact, when the police contacted you, they first informed you that they had arrested Monica and a man named Robert Baker, correct?
The phone call that came in was with Morella, but it was on speakerphone. I was with her.
Okay. And you heard them tell Morella that they had arrested Monica with someone named Robert Baker, correct?
Correct.
And you heard them tell Morella that they had found Robert Baker's blood in the home and thought he was the killer, correct?
Correct.
And they also told you that Monica, it had been revealed that Monica had been having an affair with Robert Baker. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And knowing that, you, the next day, contacted the police, correct?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember on June 15, 2017, at 10:45, let's see, LA time, calling Detective Parshall in the case?
I have no reason to deny that, but I don't recall.
Okay. Isn't it true, Mr. Lorenti, that you in fact
I object, Your Honor, but just from the way the question is starting, it can't be a case of something you don't know.
Let me rephrase, Your Honor. Mr. Lorenti, you called the police that day and discussed with the police the fact that even though you were aware that Monica had been having an affair, and even though you were aware that the person she had been having an affair with, you and Morella believed and questioned whether Monica was in fact innocent. Is that correct?
Objection. No foundation. She doesn't remember.
You discussed with the police the fact that you were well aware that Monica had been having an affair, and I think you described swinging, correct?
Correct.
And you were, in spite of that, and in spite of knowing what you had learned from the police, that Mr. Baker had his blood in the home at the scene of the crime, you were questioning whether the police really had evidence that Monica was actually involved.
Say an objection.
You also discussed earlier, Mr. Lorenti, and I just have a few more questions. I know this is hard. You have discussed previously in response to the prosecutor's questions about your relationship with Bella and Jess. Do you recall that?
Okay.
Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And you said that there was one contact with Bella and Jess in the summer of 2017, correct?
Correct.
And that was after Monica had been arrested, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Bella and Jess at the time were 18, and Jess was 18, and Bella was 16, is that correct?
Probably.
Okay. And did you come down to LA anytime after Monica's arrest to visit with them?
After that?
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay. They actually went up to Canada and visited with you where you live, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you ever, after that one occasion, did you ever try to come down to LA or suggest you were going to come down to LA to visit?
No.
Okay. And is there any reason why you didn't?
I'm not understanding your question. I'm sorry.
Okay. You mentioned there was only one contact that you had with Fabio and Monica's daughters, Jess and Bella, after she was arrested, correct?
That's what I remember, yes.
Okay. And that was not a contact you had with them because you came down to LA. It was because they came up to Canada and they visited with you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then you said there was no more contact with Bella and Jess, correct?
I believe not.
Okay. My question is there a reason that you did not have any further contact with Jess and Bella?
I usually leave that up to Morella when we contact her family. So I left it alone. In fact, the day that they came to our house in the summer of 2017, they were only allowed to come because certain ground rules were set and what we could and could not talk to them about.
Okay. Well, their mom at that point had been arrested, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And were these ground rules set by you or Morella?
No, they weren't set by us.
Okay. Do you know who they were set by?
Monica's family.
Okay. Do you know who in Monica's family?
I don't remember if it was the mother or Anna.
Okay. And did somebody speak directly to you about those ground
I
rules?
think Anna might have spoken to Morella, but I don't remember.
Okay, but no one spoke to you about any ground
No.
rules? Okay. Nothing further. Thank you.
Can you read the record?
Yes. Besides the text string that we talked about that was marked as Exhibit 112, you indicated that in between these texts you were having phone calls with the defendant.
Correct.
And in fact, phone calls are referenced within the text string, correct?
Correct.
When you were asked by defense counsel if Monica took a sleeping pill, that was based on what the defendant said, not what you personally observed?
Objection, reading?
It was set between conversations had with her and Morella, and I don't know who else was there. I overheard.
Okay. But you didn't actually see her take a sleeping pill?
No.
Oh. So you don't know if she did or she didn't, correct?
Correct.
When you were having this text conversation with the defendant on April 9th, where the defendant was saying, where the defendant said that she was missing him more and more, and that things were getting worse instead of better. Did you know at that point in time that the defendant was having an affair?
Objection, relevance.
Did you know at that point in time?
I don't think so.
You didn't find out about the affair until Deborah Obad called you,
Correct.
right after the arrest on June 14th, correct?
Correct.
And so when defense counsel said, asked you a question about you being aware that the defendant had been having an affair and was swinging, in other words, having sex with other individuals, that was told to you by Deborah Obad the day prior after the arrest on June 14th.
I think so.
So up until that point, no one in the family knew that
No.
Monica was having an affair.
No.
Facts, not any evidence.
I can think of any to stand on that ground.
I'm sorry, what was it?
False speculation.
You didn't know
No.
that there was any affair
No.
until you got the call on the night of the arrest.
Correct.
And that was from Miss Obed who informed you that the defendant not only was having an affair, but was
Correct.
swinging with other couples.
Correct.
And when the defendant was indicating to you that things were getting worse instead of better, at that point in time, were you aware that the defendant was, again, having an affair with Robert Baker?
Objection, ask and answer.
Your Honor, I have a set of 2 photographs dated April 8th of the defendant. May it be marked as people's next in order?
116.
Thank you. Showing you people's 116. Were you aware that the defendant was with Mr. Baker the night before she was texting you saying things are getting worse?
Objection, no foundation. The witness has already testified.
I'm sorry, you're making
Thank you.
It's hard facts, not an evidence as to that particular question. We need to stand on that ground.
Okay. From looking at these photographs, were you aware the night before, her saying things are getting better, that the defendant was with Mr. Baker the night before?
I
Things
don't-
were getting worse, sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, you already told us that you didn't know about the affair until the night of the arrest when you were called by Ms. Obed. Correct?
Can I?
Sure.
Okay. So, what's bogging me down is timelines. At one point, Deborah did call me and told me that Jessica had given up the passwords to Monica's computer and that her mother and her sister found out that she was swinging and having affairs. And somehow, Baker was involved. So to what extent at that time, I didn't know a lot, but I started having an idea that something was going on.
Did Miss Obed relate to you at any point in time that she was also aware that while Fabio was out of town on business prior to his murder, that Jessica found Baker sleeping in her mother's bed?
Your Honor, that's hearsay, double hearsay, and factual evidence.
To stand on the first ground.
Did Miss Obed ever mention anything to you
Yes, she did.
about? She did. Okay. What did Miss Obed tell you?
Objection calls for hearsay.
Other than what's already been covered, sustained.
When you were trying to help the defendant obtain the insurance money, that was because you believed that she was a loyal member of your family.
Objection leading, correct.
Sustained.
Why did you decide to try and help the defendant obtain the insurance proceeds from her husband Fabio's life insurance?
Because at the time I didn't think she was the killer yet. And she was a mother and had 2 children.
Did you know at the time that the defendant was sending you information on May 25th regarding Fabio's life insurance policy? Did she ever tell you that at that point in time that she was in Myrtle Beach with Robert Baker?
Objection, facts not in evidence.
So rude.
No.
Your Honor, I have a set again of 2 photographs of the defendant. If they could please be marked as People's 117.
Yes.
Your Honor, we would also be raising a relevance objection. It's irrelevant whether this witness knows these things at this time.
That's a rule.
Showing you photographs from May 26th of 2017. Were you aware that the defendant was at a Paradise Party compound with Baker in Myrtle Beach, and she was sending you information to try and help her obtain her husband's life insurance proceeds?
No.
Objection, facts not in evidence.
Sustained.
At some point in time, did you learn that the defendant had gone to Myrtle Beach with Robert Baker?
No.
You never knew that. You're hearing that for the first time today?
Yeah.
When the defendant, when you were sending messages to the defendant on June 2nd saying, thinking of you and the girls, can't help but, I don't know what this says here. Something every day, big hugs. Were you aware that when you were, and she responded with a heart emoji and praying hands, were you aware that the defendant was with Robert Baker that day?
No.
Well, I've never said two photographs from June 2nd. If they could be marked as people's 118.
Zero.
118. You were on that particular day, once again, that the defendant was with Robert Baker while she was sending you these text messages.
No.
The answer's already in. Yeah, that's like their bouncing process that I've already utilized.
Would it be fair to say that had you known that the defendant had been lying to you
I don't know that.
about the fact that she was, in fact, a grieving widow versus having a torrid affair where she was swinging with other couples, would you have gone to all of this trouble?
Sustained.
I have nothing for you.
Very good.
Just briefly, Sister Lorenti, if you had known when Monica, when you reached out to Monica to offer to draft the letter for insurance, because she was, I think you said, a mother with two girls after her husband had been killed. And you, and if the evidence showed that Monica was not involved in any way in the planning of Fabio's death, would you have believed that that was something that was important and proper to do?
Sustained.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Good. You're excused. Keep me for the next witness.
Thank you. People call me Bella, 17.